Welcome to the interview with the team from the film The Sea of Trees, directed by Gus Van Sant. In the studio with us with his wonderful couple. Welcome to you and hello Gus, Naomi Watts and Matthew McConaughey. Welcome to you. Thank you very much for being with us here in Cannes to present the film The Sea of Trees. I saw you with your camera out there, Gus. You're taking photos, you're making a little report during the festival. Please use the microphone.
Old camera. Oui. So I ended up with it. I don't know if he gave it to me or not, but it's sort of a legendary camera.
Ah oui, une caméra légende avec une pellicule argentique.
With a film, it's not a digital thing.
He brought his cameras around with him everywhere, so it's like got really worn out.
Bien sûr. Alors, qu'est-ce qui vous a séduit? On va venir à ce film, La Forêt des Songes.
Let's come back to the film now. What appealed to you about this forest of suicides?
Well, I think it was a screenplay where I was learning about this place I'd never heard of, and it was very exotic and strange and scary. And then, you know, there was this opportunity to have a journey, which I was very attracted to. And it was almost like the character was fulfilling a promise to his wife, walking into this place and with the idea that he's going to commit suicide, and it was a pretext really for us to go on this journey with him, which was going to be physical. We were going to get into the woods and go there ourselves. That was a lot of it.
I
checked on internet. This forest really does exist in Japan, and people do really go there to commit suicide. So you went into that specific forest. What did you feel when you were in the suicide forest?
We were only able to go into the real forest at the very end of the shoot. We were shooting most of it in Massachusetts, in the States, in a forest that looked quite a bit like the original, but we did visit the original one, and it was volcanic floor, at the base of Mount Fuji, very beautiful, and was an ordinary forest except for a lot of tourism. There were, ice cream shops, and but then there were signs warning people not to enter this forest too far, or that life had value. Different signs to sort of direct them away from possible suicides.
In fact, you film those signboards. Matthew sees the signboards. Matthew, now, did you know about this forest?
No, I didn't know about the forest until I read the script. And I, like most everyone else, I think went online and found it. And there's some really vivid pictures that you can find online that were, one, very spooky. Just to hear the percentages of the people, how many people they clear out of this forest per month, why the people would go into it. No, I never heard about it before reading the script.
This is
a film where you really do feel something terrifying. There is the forest, a mysterious forest. You are acting out in the middle of nature. Does it make you act differently rather than when you're in a studio or whether you're in a city? Although you were in Massachusetts, it still was a forest. Does it affect the way you act, Matthew?
Makes it much easier. You don't have to really... you don't have to play pretend.
Why is it?
You're not looking into a green screen or a set. And I mean, we were in the woods every day for, I don't know, the entire shoot, 6 different parks around up there around Boston. It was a mystical place we were already in, and this supernatural trip through purgatory that Arthur gets to take with Takumi in the story. That was Ken Watanabe and I going through this forest, which could have been anywhere. And so you don't have to use your imagination as much. So that makes it easier, for sure.
Je comprends tout à fait. Naomi Watts,
Naomi,
c'est la période qui précède
cette
histoire, le parcours de Matthew McConaughey, de son personnage, en tout cas, dans cette forêt. Comment on peut décrire la femme que vous jouez, le couple que vous jouez avec Matthew McConaughey?
You play. What was your couple? I know you were alcoholic.
Comment vous la voyez, Naomi?
How do you see that woman?
I saw her as a wonderful character for an actor to play because she's broken in many ways, and this relationship, although built on love, has hit a wall, and they haven't found a way to reinvent it. And it stemmed from this horrific power struggle, which I think is a universal thing that we all run into at some point, whether it's starting in the home that you grow up in, the playground, the workforce, or romance. We've all seen it in some way or another. And they, are so full of resentment, and they cannot get past it until it gets to a point where they get this massive wake-up call and everything falls away. And to me, that was just like a beautiful love story because they created, or life created a chance for them to reinvent it. And it just tragically wasn't the right time because of what happens. But I loved her.
Oui.
I felt a huge amount of compassion for her, although she was angry and complicated and just, so convinced she was right. She just felt really human to me.
And how a tragedy
Matthew.
can really get two people back consciously into life and back into love. I mean, it's miraculous and it's heartbreaking that it takes that, but it is a universal story, as you said at the beginning, with many relationships.
Là, je vous vois vous parler tous les deux.
I see you talking together.
Il s'est passé quelque
There,
chose
there's
d'évident dans ce
something
couple. Comment vous
quite
les avez choisis
obvious
tous les deux? Il y a une sorte
happened
d'évidence.
with
Là, je
you.
les ai vus sur le
Did
plateau,
you
je les ai vus pendant le photocall.
automatically fall into the roles of a couple? Did you know, Matthew, that everything was going to function properly? Because we get the impression as viewers that you really have a backstory.
Well, I would say, we have a great leader here, but I also knew that I was coming in late, and they were starting with the forest. And Matthew wrote to me via email, and we knew that we weren't going to get a huge amount of rehearsal time. And he said, look, we should talk on the phone, so let's, get into this. And I wrote him this email back and said, do you mind if I write to you in character? And he wrote back 3 words: write at will, love Arthur. And then it was like, wow, this is great. And it just instantly excited me that we had a chance to create a backstory. And I think as actors, with the way you're trained, you work with an open mind. And if someone presents something, you go with it. You don't block it. You just keep going. And some of these emails were, silly things about the day. I'll meet you at this time. Can you pick up some milk on the way home? And then other times they were 3 pages long about all the things, the pain that you had caused back in the time, And so we created a way to connect so that once we arrived on set, it wasn't like, hi, I'm Naomi, and, what are you thinking? We just had a good way in, I think.
Yeah, I'd like to say this about Naomi. I mean, she's all about the work.
Oui.
Like I said, I wrote you. I think I said Naomi one time in the first email, and you wrote back, signed Joan.
Yeah.
And she never brought any attitude or expectations or any of the lagniappe or et cetera from the outside world from our entire working experience. Now, that's just fun to do as actors. There's nothing pretentious about it. It's just fun.
Oh,
and it helps.
Ah oui. Ça, vous le saviez tout ça, Gus Van Sant?
Did you know all about that, Gus? Did you know that they were sending emails as husband and wife?
These guys would say every now and then, maybe even during a scene, we've been communicating for months now. And it was a surprise. No, I didn't know about it. But then it was very intriguing, and it's an exercise, and it's, I think, something that, you need to do. I mean, to have a connection on screen.
And you don't always know how another actor works, but I had heard that Matthew works very much from an internal place and the inside out, and so it was risky, but he just went with it. And you would write poems, and he's a beautiful writer as well as incredible actor to work with.
Oh, génial! On aimerait bien voir ces poèmes, Matthew.
Oh, we'd like to read your poems, Matthew.
Those were for Joan, not you.
Très bien. Alors, ils resteront secrets.
So the poems
Merci
will remain
beaucoup.
secret.
Merci
Thank
beaucoup,
you very
Naomi.
much,
Merci,
Naomi.
Merci,
Thank
Gus,
you, Matthew.
Vincent.
Thank
Donc,
you, Gus, for
la forêt
coming
des songes,
in.
vous allez en savoir
The
plus, bien
Sea
sûr,
of Trees,
sur ce
you will
film dans
find out
quelques
more
minutes,
about
lors de
this
la
in a few
conférence de
moments
presse.
at the press
À suivre, bien
conference,
sûr, sur la chaîne du Festival
which
de
will be
Cannes.
on TV Festival.